Hey, hello, leaders. This is Paul Grau Jr., and welcome back to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. So today, I'm going to give you an update from an episode a couple days ago talking about the canoe trip that I was going to go on with the teens. And I learned some valuable leadership lessons from this group of teens. And I wanted to share them today. And I think this is relevant because I think this is what you can learn from other generations in general. Now, this was unique. I was talking about my 15-year-old daughter. She is now a college graduate and soon to be RN. So it was 7 years ago, but it is definitely very relevant. And I see this now in my other teams. So here we go. It's from season 1, episode 97. So I survived the canoe trip with the group of 85 folks yesterday, including approximately 75 teens. Being that I talked about this a couple days ago, I figured I would give you an update on a few lessons I learned from stepping outside my comfort zone. Now, I know it's Friday, so I'm going to try to be as quick as possible because after all, you need to get things finished up so you can get out and enjoy your weekend. Let's talk about today's challenge of the lessons I learned outside my comfort zone. Well, as I mentioned on Wednesday's episode, I went on a youth canoeing trip yesterday. They basically needed a driver for one of their vans, and I agreed to go. Now, I had a lot of fun, and it was a beautiful day to spend on the Buffalo River here in North Arkansas. So, real quick, here's a few lessons I learned throughout the day yesterday. First of all, if you plan on doing anything with youth, be sure to show up early. And be sure to allot for some time to spend talking to the parents as they arrive. Chances are, the kids just have not communicated all of the details to the parents. I was fortunate enough to have 2 girls helping out, one being my daughter, with the logistics and all that of the trip and all the paperwork. So all I had to do is basically show up, unlock the van, and welcome the kids and their parents as they arrive. So lesson number 1, show up early and be flexible with your time. Second, teens do not talk too much in the morning. Now, I'm not sure if this is just because it's summer break or they're like that all the time, but I kind of worry about the teachers who are trying to pry information out of teens before 10 a.m. every morning. For some odd reason, I expected them to show up all fired up and crazy and ready to go and talkative, ready to go canoeing. Instead, the drive to the river, about 2 hours, was very quiet while they were just chilling out, listening to music and, kind of whispering to each other. I don't know, maybe I had a really rare group, but it was definitely not what I expected. So lesson number 2, you really don't know what you're going to get when the teens show up early in the morning. But don't try to force anything. Don't try to pry any information out of them too early because, man, it's like poking a bear. This is very familiar, oddly enough, to many seasoned team members. Those team members that are really experienced and been there with the company for a long time, some of them show up and just get into their routine. And one of the worst things that you can do is to break their routine and try to force a conversation with them when they're in the middle of that routine. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, let's get back on track. The third thing I learned is if you need to communicate with young teens, you need to speak up loudly and with authority. The other adult that was riding in a van with me was able to communicate very effectively with the group because she simply spoke up and with authority. She did this oddly enough after I was trying to ask questions to just no avail. She just turned around, spoke up with firm words saying, "Hey, listen up." And then she would ask the questions or give the instructions. It was amazing to see every head in the van just snap up and all eyes were on her whenever she spoke up like that. So lesson number 3, when communicating with teens, speak up with authority and be short and clear with questions and directions. Finally, here's the last thing I learned. When dealing with teams, they really want to talk to you. Sometimes. Granted, those times may be out of the blue and very short, but when they do talk, it can be a very enjoyable conversation. I was really blessed to have a great group of kids that went on the trip with me. And although I wasn't able to connect with all of them, the few that I did connect with were very kind. So lesson number 4 is to give young teens your time and attention when and only when they really want it. And don't expect it to be very often or for too long. Most conversations will be short and sweet, but actually purposeful and meaningful. The cool thing about this trip was I survived the day with all those teens on the river, and even though it was totally outside my comfort zone, I really enjoyed myself. One of the teens that went along was my 15-year-old daughter, so it was great to be able to do something with her. I gave her a lot of space to hang out with her friends, yet I hung out with her off and on throughout the day. It was really cool. One thing I realized on the teen canoe trip as well is that teens really aren't much different than any other generation in the workforce. Each generation requires you to get to know them and lead them a little bit differently. Don't expect to ever have a one-size-fits-all type of leadership style because that simply does not work. Get to know your team members and the different generations working in your organization. Then adjust your leadership style accordingly. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and be sure to let me know how you get along with teens and the different generations in your organization. As a reminder, please subscribe and share this briefing with coworkers and every other leader you know, especially your HR directors and CEOs, so your entire organization can run to your challenges together. You can contact me directly at Paul Grau, that's Paulgrau, at currentleadershipcoaching.com. Hey, thanks for listening, and until tomorrow, run to your challenges.